All right, guys, 10/6/15 for these notes for direct variation. If you did not get the notes from me today because I didn't see you in the hallway, you can go to my website and print out the notes. They're uploaded on my website. Or you can watch the video, follow along, take brief notes, and then answer the quiz on Canvas and retake the notes at a later time. It's your choice. Anyway, let's go on and move right into this. The direct variation is a specific relationship in which there is a constant ratio, okay? A constant ratio. And that ratio is going to be, like always, like we've been talking about in class, y over x. Okay? Between all ordered pairs. Direct vary equations are written in the form y equals, y equals kx. Okay? And remember, k sometimes is, k also is the same thing as m. Alright, so let's scroll down and read what it says. Finding the constant of k. Identify the constant of the ordered pairs below, then write the equation to represent the relationship. So what you can do is basically, if this was in a table, I would put this in a table format to make it easy on myself. Okay? X, Y, 1, 4, 2, 8, 3, 12, and then 4, 16. Okay? Remember how to find K. Find the difference of your Y. 16 minus 12 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. And y over x is going to give us 4. So we get 4 over 1, which just equals 4. So therefore, our equation for this, we would take this as our k. K equals 4. And when I go to rewrite it, I would rewrite it as k equals 4x. And that would be the answer you were looking for this problem. Okay, and you would do the same thing over here. Set this one up also in a table, x and y, -6, 3, -4, 2, 0, 0, 2, -1. All right, find the difference. The difference over here, -1 minus 0 is going to give us a -1, and then 2 minus 0 is going to give us a 2. So our k equals -1/2. All right, and then when I go to rewrite it, if I can get my equals part written in there, I would write that as I would write that as y equals -1/2 x. I'm going to erase that so I have some room to write. And that would be your answer for this problem. All right. So if they give it to you with 4 points and it's not set up into a table, set it up into a table. It doesn't take very long. Just quickly draw on a table. It doesn't have to be neat, perfect, and find the difference between your 2 y points and the difference between the 2 x points, and then find the quotient of the y over x. All right? Let's scroll on down to 3 and 4. Okay, so for number 3, it's already in a table, and it's in the vertical table. So I'm going to do the difference between 0 and 2, because I like to work with positive numbers. So 2 minus 0 is 2, and 3 minus 0 is 3. Which gives me a k of 2 over 3, which means that I would have my equation as y equals 2/3 x. Okay? Which basically what this means is when you're talking about x, okay, and let's say we plug in for x here. All right, so let's talk about -6, -4. Where x is, I'm going to plug in -6, I'm going to multiply it, and I should end up with an answer of -4 if we did this correctly. So I'm going to do 2 over 3 times -6 over 1. I can divide both 3 and 6 by 3, and 3 divided by 3 gives me 1, and 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. And then positive 2 times -2 equals a -4, which is what we got for our y. So when you plug it in, okay, and you multiply x times the 2/3, you should get your y. So that means that -12 times 2/3 is going to give me a -8. Obviously, 2/3 times 0 is going to give us 0. And then 2/3 times 2 is going to give us 2. Okay? So it's our change that we're doing to our x that's going to change our y. All right, let's go to number 4. This one, it's a horizontal one. So the difference right here, okay, the difference between 12 and 3 is going to be 9. Okay, and then the difference between -4 and -1 is going to be -3. So I would do 9 divided by -3, which until gives us -3. So if my k equals -3, then my equation would be y equals -3x. And the answer over here, I didn't box it. Let's go and box it. So when I multiply 4 times -3, I get 12, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then -1 times -3 is a positive 3. 3 times -3, -9. 5 times -3, -15. That's the change. And these are all direct variations, okay? So basically what the rule is saying for a direct variation is you're always going to have the ratio of y over x. And it's going to be constant. It's never going to change. For every set of ordered pairs, y over x is going to be the exact same. So if you look at it over here, and you can do the same thing, 12 over -4, that's going to give us -3. 3 over -1, that's going to give us -3. -9 over 3, -3. -15 over 5, -3. You take your y and you place it over your x, and that's going to be your ratio, and it should be a constant ratio if it's a direct variation. Now, if it doesn't work for all of them, then it's not going to be a direct variation. So when you go into the equations, let's go look at these equations. It says identify the equations below that represent a direct variation. If yes, identify the constant variation. So the constant variation is basically going to be just your, just your k. Okay, that's what you're looking for. Now, here's the trick to these problems. Anytime it's just y equals kx, and there's not an adding of anything or subtracting down here, we don't have anything else back here at the end of this, then that's going to be a direct variation, because that means that for every x, it's being, for every y, it's being divided by x. It's going to give us our k. So I'm not adding or subtracting anything down here at the end. So on this one, right here, okay, that's my k. Whoops, let me do a little better job. The 3 is my k, so therefore this is a yes, because I don't have like plus 3 or plus 5 at the end. It's not y equals 3x plus 2, just y equals 3x, which means that x is being multiplied by 3 every single time, and that's going to have to change the y. So this is your k. Okay, so k equals 3. Over here, this is another yes, okay, because every time x is being multiplied by -5. So -4/5. Okay, this one is a no. There's not even an x in it. So we couldn't even do the ratio of y over x because there is no x. Okay, let's look at number 8. Okay, now number 8 looks really weird because it's got 2y equals 5x, and you're just used to it being y right now. So what you want to do is you want to get rid of that 2. So to get rid of that 2, I'm going to divide by 2 like we did with our equations and divide by 2. Which then leaves me with y equals 5 over 2x. Which means that x is being multiplied by 5 over 2 every time, constant. It's constant no matter what. 5 over 2 times 1, 5 over 2 times 2, 5 over 2 times 3. Whatever x is, it has to be multiplied by 5 over 2. So my k equals 5 over 2, and this is another yes. Over here, see how I've got this -4? That changes it. It's not going to be a constant ratio. Okay, I may be able to do y over x, but it's going to differ because I've got subtracting 4 from each kind of different set of numbers. So that doesn't work. All right, over here, in front of this x, I've got an imaginary 1, remember? So that's -1. So that is correct. Every time x is being multiplied by -1. So my k would be k equals -1. Over here, again with the 2y, want to get rid of that. So let's divide it by 2 to get y by itself. And if I divide this side by 2, I got to divide the other side. And remember, in front of that x is an imaginary 1, so that gives me 1 over 2x. And right here, that's our k. So this is a yes. Okay. Now this one is a little different. Now this is what we call standard form. We haven't gotten to that. We haven't even gotten to the slope-intercept form. So I'm going to just rewrite it the way that it needs to be written, and you don't need to worry about how I do that right now. So I'm going to do 2y equals negative 4x plus 6. Divide by 2 and divide by 2. I get y equals negative 2x plus 3. All right, now notice back on the end right here, I've got that plus 3. So because that's not just y equals kx, it's not going to be a direct variation. So that's a no. And let's look over here to number 13. Get y by itself, so I get minus 5x, cancels, minus 5x. Y equals negative 5x. And my negative 5 is my k, so this is a yes, meaning x is going to be multiplied by negative 5 every time. All right, let's go on and go to the next page. We're going to do this by a graph. Now, the graphs are actually quite easier, so let's go to that. Okay, when a graph has a direct variation, it is going to pass straight through the origin. So if it doesn't pass through the origin, then it's not a direct variation. So look right here. This one does pass through the origin, so this is a yes. All right, and then now it says identify the constant variation. Well, your constant variation, remember, if the formula is y equals kx, right? Well, remember, k equals m, so therefore you're looking for and m also equals the slope. What you're looking for, that was really ugly, is the slope. So how did it go from here to here? I went up 1, 2, 3, and then I went over 1, 2. So then my k is going to equal 3 over 2. And if I was to write that as an equation, it would be 3 over 2x. All right. Over here, let's look at this one. That does not pass through, so therefore this is a no. Okay, scroll up. All right, same thing here. This one does pass through the origin, so this is a yes. All right, and we need to figure out what the slope is, what k equals, so we can write it in an equation format. So if you look, our graph is pointing up and to the left, whereas this one was, excuse me. This graph is pointing up and to the right, and notice that gave us a positive x. This one is pointing up and to the left, so we should have a negative x, a negative number attached to our x. So let's look and figure out our slope is up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be negative 1/4. Okay? So my equation would be y equals negative 1/4 x. And that would be how I'd write that equation. And that's the equation for that line. All right, over here. Okay, crosses through our origin, so this is a yes. Okay? And then we need to figure out our slope from this point to that point. So I'm up 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2, 3. So this one gives me 3 over 3, and it's a positive graph, so I get 1. So then my equation is just going to be y equals 1x. Okay, so now if you look, I'm going to go on and dot this because it says our slope is 1. So if our slope is 1, okay, it means we're going to go up 1 and over 1. So up 1 over 1 dot, right? Up 1 over 1 a dot. Up 1 over 1 a dot. So that is correct. All right. Now let's go on and scroll down here to the bottom. It says if the following ordered pairs represent a direct variation, find the missing value. So what you want to do is the formula you were going to use is you're going to just basically write y over x, okay, and that has to equal y over x. All right, so you take your 2 points and you see if it equals y over x both times, okay, or what the constant of variation is going to be. So let's just kind of walk through this. Remember, this is x and this is y, x and y, right? So I'm going to do negative 4 over 2 equals y over negative 6, okay? And we're going to cross multiply, and that's going to give us now, whoops, I forgot to even draw the line right here. Okay, that's going to give us now over here 2y equals Negative 4 times negative 6 gives us a positive 24. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to solve for y. Dividing by 2. Cancels out. Divide by 2. And y equals 12. Okay. All right. Let's go on and go to number 19. Do the same thing. We're going to do y over x. So it should be 16 over 4 equals 24 over x. And when I do that, I have 16x equals 96, because 24 times 4 is 96. Divide both sides by 16, and I get x equals 6. So, if these are done correctly, okay, let's look to see, we solved for x to see, because it says it's a direct variation. So, let's go back to number 18 real quick. All right, so if you look here, negative 4 divided by negative 2 is going to give us a negative 2, right? And then if you plug in 12, where y is, 12 divided by negative 6 is also going to give us a negative 2. So negative 2 equals negative 2. This is where you do your little butterfly thing that y'all learned back in 5th grade. So that's what that was all about. Over here, the same thing. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. And 24 divided by 6 is 4. Okay? So in this situation, okay, you're just solving for y. Okay, these are already direct variations. This is a direct variation with k equal negative 2. Okay, and this one would be where k equals 4. All right, but you're not finding what the direct variation is. More or less as you're finding what the x was and what the y was. And then the same thing on 20 and 21. Okay, if these are direct variations, then when you solve for x and y, when you find the ratio of y over x, they should both be equal to each other. They should have the constant ratio. So for like number 20, I'm going to do y over 12 equals 7 over 4. Okay, which then gives me 7 times 12 is 84. 84 equals 4y. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. And I end up with y equals 21. Okay? So if you think about it, okay, yes, 7 over 4 is going to give us some weird fraction, right? Or it's going to give us some weird decimal. It's not even a whole number. But if I did 21 over 12, which I'm going to do right here so you can see it, 21 over 12, when I divide those both by 3, I end up with 12 divided by 3 is 7, or 21 divided by 3 is 7, excuse me, and then 12 divided by 3 does equal 4. All right, so they are sharing that constant ratio of y over x. All right, 21, we would do negative 16 over x equals 24 over 6. Okay, cross multiply, right? I end up with 24x equals negative 96. I can't write. I'm going to do some erasing. Divide both sides by 24, and we get x equals negative 4. So then 24 divided by 6 is 4. Negative 16 divided by negative 4 is a positive 4. So right there, those are your direct variations. Okay, now let's look at 22. You can scroll up, move that all out of the way. 22 says, if y equals negative 18, when x equals 3, then find y when y is 30. So basically you set that up as negative 18 over 3 equals 30 over the x that we're solving for. All right, and then you would just cross multiply, and I get, okay, I'm going to kind of squeeze over here, 90 equals negative 18x. Okay, take a moment to write that in, or pause if you don't mind, and I'm going to kind of rewrite this a little bit real quick because I wrote it really sloppy. Sorry, my bracelet's clanking. Okay, let's try it again. Negative 18 over 3, which would give us a negative 6, equals 30 over x. And I end up with, when I cross product, I get negative 18x equals 90. Divide both sides by negative 18 and negative 18. And I get x equals negative 5 for my answer. And if you think about it, if negative 18 divided by 6, or excuse me, negative 18 divided by 3 is negative 6, then 30 divided by negative 5 is also a negative 6. Okay, let's scroll over here and do number 23. So if y is 80, okay, if y is 80 over 32, okay, it says find x when y is 100. All right, cross product, and when you do that, you get 80x equals 3,200. I can't even write it in, it's too small. I don't have enough room. I'm going to move it down. And then divide both sides by 80 and by 80, and x equals 40. All right. I'm going to leave you to do number 24 and 25, and each of those will give you 2 stamps for your incentive chart. Remember, the end of the 9 weeks is nearing, so you want to fill those charts up. All right. Don't forget to watch to take the quiz on Canvas. If you need any help, message me on Remind. All right. Also, don't forget to retake the slope quiz if you need to. All right. Have a good night, guys.